For us to be able to auto login, we have to go to scene delegate, and here I'm going to import Firebase authenticator, and then I'm going to create a variable here, call this auth listener. And what this auth listener is auth state did change listener handler, and this is an optional. So what we want to do is to keep listening if there are any changes in our logged in user. So the good thing about Firebase is it has this handy function that is listening if there are any changes in our current user. So if the user has logged in, logged out, or something changed, we are always notified. And the variable that will receive this notification we are creating here, it's an auth listener. This is what it's called. So at the end here, I'm going to put a mark, call this auto login. And let's create a function, call this auto login. And in this function, what we want to do is we access our auth listener and set this to authenticator, and we initialize one. We say add state did change listener, and the listener we are going to add assign to this value. So we are going to get an authenticator and user object here. And now what I want to do is as soon as we have logged in, we want to remove this listener because there is no need to keep listening for changes again. So we say auth.auth listener, and we're going to remove state the change listener, and we are going to pass the name of the listener, which is self auth data auth listener. And I can unwrap this because we know that this has value. We just initialize it. We remove it, and then we say if user not equals to nil, the user is this user we are receiving. So if it's not equals nil, and we will access a user defaults. Since we are accessing our user defaults quite often, let's actually go to our constants file, and I'm going to say let user defaults equals to user defaults dot standard. So, and command P, and this way I will not have to type this every time that I want to access my user defaults. So we say, and I say user defaults dot object for key k current user is not equals to nil. So what we are checking if this Firebase object has a logged in user, and also if we have our saved user in our user defaults. And if we have both of them, it means that we do have a logged in user. And now we can present our application view and not the login view. And in order to do that, because everything here is happening on a background thread, and presenting another view is a UI change, and we need to do this on a main thread. So I'm going to get to my main thread here. We say dispatch queue dot main dot async, and we will just put the code here, whatever we want to do on a main thread. And we want to go to the application. So let's say private func go to app, and here I'm going to access my main view equals UI storyboard dot initialize it with the name main bundle nil. And then I want to instantiate a view controller with identifier main view. And we need to specify that this is as UI tab bar controller. And now the only difference is with our login, where we have this model presentation and self-present, is our login view is another view controller and it can present other views. But in our scene delegate, there is no view controller to present it. So instead, we are going to access this window, which is UI window. This is the first window that our application gets. So I will get our self window, and then I will ask view the root view controller is equals to our main view. So instead of showing any other views, we want to set the root view controller to be our main view. And I just say here self.go to app, and it will call this function and set our main view to be the root view controller of our application. Let's try now to rerun. And now instead of seeing a login screen, we should go straight to our application. All right, let's try to log in. iOS dev school at gmail.com, password and login. Right, we have logged in. Oh, we have created the function, but we haven't called it. That's why it's not working. So in order to call that, we're going to do this in scene delegate and session options. Whatever the first function is, we have to call it here. So we say auto login. Go back. And we shouldn't have to type anything again. It should take us to our application, which is bypassing our login view. We have item 1, item 2. This is our tab bar controller. So our auto login is working. This is the function that does, and this is the function that takes us to our main view. So now we have a user login and registration, and also we are bypassing the login view if our user has already logged into our application. I'm going to right click on this constants, create a new group and call these helpers, so we can move this out of the way and put under our model. Right, so from our next class we are going to start our main application part, because we have finished with our login and registration functions.